always written songs. It's all started really when I was about 14, and I started listening to people like Donovan and so on, and then of course the usual King Crimson came out, and people like Cross and Ross as well, Keith Cross and Peter Ross. They were also a big influence on my songwriting, and also Nick Drake as well, who was an equally big influence. So really, I mean, I've always written songs, and I suppose really it just came about automatically, because in those days people had guitars, and at school, of course, the guitars were always round the studies and so on, and so you could pick up a guitar and learn a few chords, you know. And I think the first chord I ever learnt was E minor, and so what I did, I learnt E and G, and someone gave me a chord book, but I couldn't work it out. So a lot of the earliest song I ever wrote sounded like this. I think that probably came from listening to a band called Bronco. I had an album called Bumpers, which was like a double taster album issued by Island, which was the compilation album after one called Nice Enough to Eat, which a lot of people have bought, and these albums, of course, gave you a taster of one band, and then on the strength of that, you went out and bought an album, a complete album. But Island Records and all the other record companies put out these little albums, which comprised all their artists. And so, yeah, Bronco had a song on called, I can't remember even what it was called, but I just liked the sound. It was that rhythm. And of course, rhythmically, I didn't have any problems. When I teach people, it takes me all my time to get them actually doing strumming. They sort of go, you go, right, okay, let's do Blowing in the Wind, and they sort of go mechanically. Well, that's the problem I never had really. I could always do that quite naturally. So then I discovered that I could start writing my own songs, and that happened after about a couple of months. And of course now I'm writing these songs, and it's something I've always done, and I always look on them now as sort of fodder, if you like, or early sketches for the more serious writing, which of course is the pencil to paper writing. But I do like writing. I do like writing songs.
Was so fragile, so easily broken. He was hurt by words so carelessly spoken. Trapped in a world of his own, hiding from the pain, hiding from the time that sung inside.
Yeah, Through a Glass Darkly. Well, this is part of history, and this is Through a Glass Darkly live in Stanley Park in Blackpool. Through a Glass Darkly were a band that I played with from about 1977 to 1982, and essentially it was a gospel band. It comprised of I think there were about 6 or 7 people in Through a Glass Darkly. It seemed like an army, and when I joined this church, the idea was that we'd spread the gospel by any means we could, and one of the weapons used for that, of course, was Through a Glass Darkly, and this was Through a Glass Darkly.
tonight, and this is Andrew Keeling.
Hello, living dark, you have come alive. You have come alive inside my head. Hello, living dark, you live down by the sea. Sunrise on your fantasy.
Okay, well, playing in front of people. I haven't done that for a very, very, very long time. And the problem with me is that my nerves never dissipate. It's always nerve-wracking all the way through. But it's good to do that kind of thing, because if I've got to play some gigs, then I've got to try these things, these dry runs in front of people.
Today we're off to a studio near Ormskirk to begin the potential second acoustic album. When I finished First Things about 18 months ago, maybe, can't remember when it was done, I hadn't got any songs at all, no new songs at all, but since then about 13 or 14 new pieces have emerged. Two new instrumental pieces, and also about 11 songs maybe. So I thought what we'd start to do today is at least try and put the basic guitar parts down, some of which I find horrendously difficult. I don't know why. I don't know why I write such complex guitar parts, but it's just the way it comes out. I don't like doing things which are just banal, you know, just a few chords here and there. I'm really going to try and go back and do next Tuesday some basic vocals, and then over the next few months start adding arrangements. I've got a couple of ideas for arrangements, but not many. I like to take away the basic vocal and guitar part and then consider arrangements, and then go back to the later stage and add them. It seems to be the best way of doing things. I think compositionally for me it fits.
Is that okay? Okay, that's fine then. Can I hear that, please?